You were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. Yet, in this journey of life, we often encounter an unexpected teacher lost today. We are going to delve deep into a profound truth that many of us overlook. Sometimes losing is the best lesson. It might seem counterintuitive, even uncomfortable. After all, we live in a world that celebrates winners, that puts success on a pedestal. From a young age, we are taught to strive for victory, to aim for the top. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in our pursuit of success, we often miss the invaluable lessons hidden within our losses. Losing is not the opposite of winning. It's a crucial part of the winning process. It's the refiner's fire that shapes us, molds us, and prepares us for greater victories. Every great achiever, every person who's left an indelible mark on this world has tasted the bitterness of defeat. But what sets them apart is not their ability to avoid failure, but their capacity to learn from it. In the moments of our greatest triumphs, we rarely stop to question our methods or examine our weaknesses. Why would we? Everything is working perfectly, but in our darkest moments, when we are faced with the pain of loss, we are forced to confront our shortcomings. We are compelled to grow, to adapt, to become more than we were before. This is why losing can be such a powerful teacher. It pushes us out of our comfort zones. It challenges our assumptions. It forces us to innovate and find new solutions. In essence, losing creates the perfect conditions for exponential growth. This growth only happens if we are willing to learn. If we approach our losses with curiosity rather than fear, with a desire to improve rather than a need to assign blame, we unlock that transformative power. Every loss is an opportunity to refine your strategy, to sharpen your skills, to deepen your understanding. It's a chance to identify your weaknesses and turn them into strengths. It's an invitation to reinvent yourself, to become a better version of who you were before. I know what some of you might be thinking. But what if the loss is too big? What if it feels like we have lost everything? My friends, let me tell you something. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you have not lost everything. Your greatest asset is not your wealth, your status, or your achievements. Your greatest asset is you, your mind, your spirit, your potential. No loss can take that away from you. In fact, the greatest losses often serve as the catalyst for the most profound personal growth. They strip away the non-essentials and force us to focus on what truly matters. They reveal our inner strength, a strength we may not have known we possessed. There was once a young entrepreneur named Robin from childhood. Robin had dreamed of revolutionizing the tech industry. She had a vision of creating a device that would change the way people interacted with technology. For years, she worked tirelessly on her idea, pouring every ounce of her energy, every penny of her savings into this dream. Finally, after countless sleepless nights and numerous setbacks, Robin launched her product. She was certain it would take the world by storm, but reality had other plans. The launch was a disaster. The product was met with criticism and indifference. Within months, Robin's company was bankrupt and her dream lay in ruins. For weeks, Robin was consumed by despair. She felt like a failure, questioning every decision she had made. But then something remarkable happened. As she sifted through the ashes of her failed venture, Robin began to see valuable lessons. She realized that in her excitement, she had rushed to market without adequate market research. She had been so focused on her vision that she had failed to consider whether it truly met a consumer need. These were painful realizations, but they were transformative. Robin took these hard-earned lessons and applied them to her next venture. This time, she conducted thorough market research. She saw feedback early and often. She built a team that complemented her skills and challenged her assumptions. The result: her second company not only succeeded but thrived beyond her wildest expectations. Within 3 years, it was valued at over $100 million. Robin often says that if it weren't for the painful lessons of her first failure, she never would have achieved this level of success. Losing did not make Robin a loser. It made her a learner. And that's the key distinction we need to understand. In life, there are no real failures, only lessons. Every setback, every disappointment, every loss carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. But we must have the wisdom to look for it, the courage to acknowledge it, and the determination to apply it. Robin's story illustrates a fundamental truth. Losing is not the end. It's a new beginning. It's an invitation to grow, to evolve, to become more than we were before. But here's the catch. This only happens if we choose to learn from our losses. Losing is only the best lesson if we approach it with the right mindset. We must be willing to look at our failures objectively, to analyze them without ego or self-pity. We must have the courage to ask ourselves hard questions. What went wrong? What could I have done differently? What can I learn from this experience? This is not easy. Our natural instinct when we lose is to run away, to hide, to protect our ego from the pain of acknowledging our mistakes. But the most successful people in the world do exactly the opposite. They lean into their losses. They dissect their failures with the precision of a surgeon, always asking, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become better? This mindset shift is powerful. When you start to see losses not as endpoints but as starting points for growth, you become unstoppable. Because here's the truth. You will face setbacks. You will encounter obstacles. You will taste defeat. These are inevitable parts of any worthwhile journey. The question is not whether you will face these challenges, but how you will respond to them. Will you let your losses define you, or will you use them to refine you? Will you allow failure to be a full stop, or will you turn it into a comma, a pause before the next greater chapter of your story begins? You see, success often tells us what we are doing right, but failure shows us what we need to do better. Both are essential for growth, but often it's the lessons from failure that propel us to new levels of achievement. When everything is going well, when we are riding high on a wave of success, it's easy to become complacent. We might overlook small efficiencies in our processes, ignore potential threats on the horizon, or fail to push ourselves to new heights. Success, paradoxically, can sometimes breed failure if we are not careful. Loss, on the other hand, forces us to take a hard look at ourselves and our methods. It strips away our illusions and exposes our weaknesses. And while this process is painful, it's also incredibly valuable. It shows us exactly where we need to focus our efforts to improve. Embracing failure as a learning opportunity does not mean seeking out failure or being content with losing. It's about understanding that setbacks are an inevitable part of any meaningful journey and choosing to extract value from them rather than being defeated by them. It's also about understanding that often our greatest successes come on the heels of our most painful losses. Why? Because losses have a unique ability to teach us things that success never could. In the moments of our greatest triumphs, we rarely stop to question our methods or examine our weaknesses. Why would we? Everything is working perfectly. But in our darkest moments, when we are faced with the pain of loss, we are forced to confront our shortcomings. We are compelled to grow, to adapt, to become more than we were before. This is why losing can be such a powerful teacher. It pushes us out of our comfort zones. It challenges our assumptions. It forces us to innovate and find new solutions. In essence, losing creates the perfect conditions for exponential growth. This growth only happens if we are willing to learn. If we approach our losses with curiosity rather than fear, with a desire to improve rather than a need to assign blame, we unlock their transformative power. Every loss is an opportunity to refine your strategy, to sharpen your skills, to deepen your understanding. It's a chance to identify your weaknesses and turn them into strengths. It's an invitation to reinvent yourself, to become a better version of who you were before. When we talk about learning from our losses, it's easy to fall into the trap of toxic positivity, the belief that we should always be positive, even in the face of significant loss or hardship. That's not what I'm advocating here. It's okay to feel disappointed when we lose. It's natural to feel frustrated when things do not go our way. These emotions are a normal and healthy part of the human experience. The key is not to deny these feelings, but to not let them define us or determine our future actions. Allow yourself to feel the pain of loss. Acknowledge it, sit with it. But then, when you are ready, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become better? This is where the real growth happens. In that space between acknowledging our loss and choosing our response to it. That's where we have the power to turn our losses into lessons, our setbacks into setups for comebacks. You are not your failures. You are not defined by your losses. You are defined by how you respond to them, by what you choose to make of them. Every loss, every failure, every setback is an opportunity. An opportunity to learn, to grow, to become more than you were before. So how do we cultivate this mindset? How do we train ourselves to see the lessons in our losses? First, we need to change our relationship with failure. Instead of fearing it, we need to embrace it as a natural and necessary part of the growth process. Every great achievement in human history was preceded by numerous failures. The light bulb, the airplane, the personal computer. All of these world-changing inventions were the result of countless failed attempts and iterations. The inventors behind these breakthroughs did not succeed despite their failures. They succeeded because of them. Each failure provided valuable data. Each setback offered new insights. They understood that failure wasn't their enemy, it was their teacher. We need to adopt this same mindset in our own lives when we encounter a setback. Instead of asking, why me? We need to ask, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become better? Secondly, we need to practice self-compassion. It's easy to beat ourselves up when we fail, to engage in harsh self-criticism. But this does not serve us. In fact, it often paralyzes us, making us afraid to take risks or try new things in the future. Instead, we need to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. Recognize that making mistakes is a fundamental part of being human. It does not make you inadequate or unworthy. It simply means you are growing. You are pushing your boundaries. You are living life fully. How you would treat a good friend who had just experienced a significant loss or failure. You wouldn't berate them or tell them they're worthless, would you? No, you'd offer support, encouragement, and perhaps gently help them see the lessons in experience. We need to learn to treat ourselves with that same kindness and wisdom. Thirdly, we need to reframe how we think about success and failure. Too often, we see them as absolute states. You either succeed or you fail. But life is rarely that black and white in reality. Success and failure are often two sides of the same coin. What looks like failure in the short term can often lead to success in the long term. And what seems like success in the moment can sometimes lead to complacency or missed opportunities for growth. The key is to take a longer view, to understand that our journey is made up of both victories and setbacks, and that both have value. Fourthly, we need to cultivate resilience. Resilience is not about avoiding failure or never experiencing loss. It's about having the strength to pick ourselves up when we fall, to keep moving forward even when the path is difficult. Resilience is like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes each time we face a setback and choose to learn from it rather than be defeated by it. We are building our resilience. We are becoming stronger, more adaptable, more capable of handling whatever challenges life throws our way. Finally, we need to surround ourselves with the right people. The company we keep has a profound impact on our mindset and our ability to learn from our losses. We need people in our lives who will support us when we fall, who will encourage us to get back up, who will help us see the lessons in our failures. Seek out mentors and peers who have faced similar challenges and come out stronger. Learn from their experiences. Let their stories of overcoming adversity inspire and guide you. Remember, every successful person you admire has faced failure. They're not successful because they never failed, but because they learned how to turn those failures into stepping stones to success. The first step is to create some distance between yourself and the loss. When we are in the thick of a failure, it's hard to see it objectively. Our emotions cloud our judgment. So give yourself some time. Step back. Allow the initial sting of disappointment to subside. Once you have created that distance, it's time for honest reflection. Ask yourself, what exactly went wrong? Where did things start to go off track? What assumptions did I make that turned out to be incorrect? What were the factors outside of my control? And what were the things I could have influenced? Be brutally honest with yourself, but also be kind. Remember, the goal is not to beat yourself up, but to gain clarity and insight. Look for patterns. Is this a one-time failure? Or is it part of a larger trend? If it's a pattern, what's the common thread? Next, focus on extracting specific, actionable lessons from your loss. It's not enough to say, I'll do better next time. You need to identify concrete steps you can take to improve. If you lost a job opportunity, maybe you need to work on your interview skills or expand your professional network. If a business venture failed, perhaps you need to improve your financial management or marketing strategies. Once you have identified these lessons, create a plan to implement them. Set specific, measurable goals for improvement. Break these goals down into manageable steps. And most importantly, take action. Knowledge without action is useless. The true value of a lesson lies not in learning it, but in applying it. Another crucial aspect of turning losses into lessons is maintaining perspective. It's easy to get caught up in the emotion of the moment and blow a setback out of proportion. But most failures, no matter how painful they feel in the moment, are not fatal. They're temporary setbacks, not permanent defeats. Cultivate the ability to zoom out and see the bigger picture. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? In 5 years? In 10 years? Often what feels like a catastrophic failure in the moment becomes a mere blip on the radar when viewed from a broader perspective. This does not mean minimizing your feelings or pretending that setbacks do not hurt. It's about acknowledging the pain while also recognizing that it's temporary. It's about understanding that this moment of defeat is just one chapter in your larger story, not the entire book. It's also important to recognize that not all lessons from loss are immediately apparent. Sometimes the true value of a setback only becomes clear months or even years later. This is why it's crucial to maintain an open mind and a long-term perspective. Keep a journal of your experiences, both successes and failures. Regularly review this journal. You might be surprised at the insights you gain when you look back on past experiences with the benefit of hindsight. Not all losses are created equal. Some losses are more significant than others. Some it is harder. Cut deeper. And that's okay. The principles we are discussing apply to losses big and small. But the way we apply them might differ depending on the magnitude of the loss. For smaller setbacks, you might be able to bounce back quickly, extracting the lesson and moving on. But for more significant losses, the end of a long-term relationship, the failure of a business you have poured years into, the loss of a job you loved, the process might take longer. And that's perfectly normal. In these cases, it's important to give yourself time to grieve. Yes, grieve. Because significant losses often involve a form of grief. We are mourning the death of a dream, the end of a chapter in our lives. Acknowledging this grief, feeling it fully, is an important part of the healing process. But even as we allow ourselves to feel the pain of loss, we can hold on to the knowledge that this too shall pass, that there are lessons to be learned, growth to be had, even in our darkest moments. Sometimes, especially in our darkest moments, the goal is not to become immune to the pain of loss. It's to become resilient in the face of it, to develop the ability to feel the pain, learn the lesson, and keep moving forward. This resilience, this ability to learn from loss, is what sets apart those who achieve lasting success from those who remain stagnant. It's the secret ingredient that allows some individuals to turn adversity into advantage, to transform stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Consider the world of sports, where the concept of losing as a lesson is perhaps most visibly demonstrated. Every great athlete has faced defeat, often multiple times, before achieving their ultimate victory. These losses, painful as they may be in the moment, serve as crucial learning experiences. They reveal weaknesses in technique, gaps in strategy, and areas for improvement in physical and mental conditioning. Take, for example, the journey of a champion boxer. Before they ever step into the ring for a title fight, they've likely experienced numerous losses in sparring sessions, amateur bouts, and perhaps even professional matches. Each of these losses provides valuable feedback. Maybe they need to work on their footwork, improve their endurance, or develop a better defense against certain types of punches. Without these losses, these learning opportunities, they might never identify and address these weaknesses. The losses, in essence, become the foundation upon which their eventual success is built. This principle extends far beyond the realm of sports, in business, in relationships, in personal growth. In every area of life, our losses can be our greatest teachers if we approach them with the right mindset. The path to breakthrough is often paved with countless failed experiments. Thomas Edison famously made thousands of unsuccessful attempts before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10.000 that won't work." This perspective is crucial. Edison did not see each failed attempt as a defeat, but as a step closer to success. He understood that each failure eliminated one more possibility, bringing him closer to the solution he sought. In the world of business, we see this principle at work time and time again. Many of the most successful companies today were born out of initial failures or setbacks. Take Airbnb, for example. The founders of this now global hospitality giant faced numerous rejections and setbacks in their early days. They were turned down by investors, struggled to gain traction with users, and at one point were so broke they resorted to selling cereal to make ends meet. But with each setback they learned. They refined their business model, improved their product, and persevered. Today, Airbnb is valued at billions of dollars and has revolutionized the travel industry. These examples underscore a crucial point. Success is rarely a straight line. It's a series of ups and downs, wins and losses, triumphs and setbacks. The key is to use each experience, positive or negative, as a stepping stone to greater heights. But how do we practically apply this mindset in our own lives? How can we ensure that we are extracting maximum value from our losses? How can we turn setbacks into setups for future success? First and foremost, we need to cultivate self-awareness when we face a setback. It's crucial to take a step back and honestly assess what happened. This is not about assigning blame or making excuses. It's about understanding the factors that contributed to the outcome. What could I have done differently? What assumptions did I make that turned out to be incorrect? What skills do I need to develop to perform better next time? Be brutally honest with yourself, but also be kind. Remember, the goal is not to beat yourself up, but to identify areas for improvement. Next, focus on extracting specific actionable lessons from each setback. It's not enough to say, "I'll do better next time." You need to identify concrete steps you can take to improve. If you lost a job opportunity, maybe you need to work on your interview skills or expand your professional network. If a business venture failed, perhaps you need to improve your financial management or marketing strategies. Once you have identified these lessons, create a plan to implement them. Set specific, measurable goals for improvement. Break these goals down into manageable steps. And most importantly, take action. Knowledge without action is useless. The true value of a lesson lies not in learning it, but in applying it. Another crucial aspect of turning losses into lessons is maintaining perspective. It's easy to get caught up in the emotion of the moment and blow a setback out of proportion. But most failures, no matter how painful they feel in the moment, are not fatal. They're temporary setbacks, not permanent defeats. Cultivate the ability to zoom out and see the bigger picture. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? In 5 years? In 10 years? Often what feels like a catastrophic failure in the moment becomes a mere blip or radar when viewed from a broader perspective. This does not mean minimizing your feelings or pretending that setbacks do not hurt. It's about acknowledging the pain while also recognizing that it's temporary. It's about understanding that this moment of defeat is just one chapter in your larger story, not the entire book. It's also important to surround yourself with the right people. We all need a support system, especially when facing setbacks. But be careful about who you turn to in times of failure. Some people will commiserate with you, reinforcing negative feelings and encouraging you to give up. Others will challenge you, push you to learn from the experience, and support you as you try again. Seek out mentors and peers who have faced similar challenges and come out stronger. Learn from their experiences. Let their stories of overcoming adversity inspire and guide you. Remember, every successful person you admire has faced failure. They're not successful because they never fail, but because they learned how to turn those failures into stepping stones to success. How do you think about success and failure? Instead of seeing them as opposite ends of a spectrum, try viewing them as two sides of the same coin. Both are essential parts of the learning process. Both provide valuable feedback about what works and what does not. In fact, you could argue that success and failure aren't even separate entities, but rather subjective interpretations of events. What looks like failure in the short term often turns to be a crucial step towards long-term success. And conversely, what seems like success in the moment can sometimes lead to complacency or missed opportunities for growth. The key is to approach every experience, positive or negative, with a learner's mindset. Ask yourself, what can I take away from this? How can I use this to become better? When you adopt this perspective, every experience becomes an opportunity for growth. It's also crucial to understand that failure is not a reflection of your worth as a person. Too often we tie our self-esteem to our accomplishments, allowing our failures to make us feel worthless. But this is a dangerous mindset. You are not your failures, just as you are not your successes. You are a complex, multifaceted individual with inherent worth, regardless of your external achievements or setbacks. When you separate your sense of self-worth from your failures, you free yourself to take more risks, to pursue your dreams more boldly. You are no longer paralyzed by the fear of failure because you understand that even if you fail, it does not diminish your value as a person. It simply provides you with an opportunity to learn and grow. This mindset shift can be particularly powerful when it comes to pursuing big goals and dreams. Often, the things most worth doing are also the things that carry the highest risk of failure. If we let our fear of failure hold us back, we will never achieve our full potential. But when we embrace the possibility of failure as a necessary part of the journey to success, we open ourselves up to incredible opportunities for growth and achievement. As we reflect on the profound truth that sometimes losing is the best lesson, let us embrace a new perspective on failure and loss. Let us see them not as endpoints, but as crucial waypoints on our journey to success and personal growth. Every setback, every disappointment, every loss carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. Our task is to find that seed, nurture it, and allow it to blossom into something beautiful and transformative. You were born to win, but winning is not about never falling. It's about rising every time you fall. It's about learning from every setback, growing from every challenge, and becoming stronger with every obstacle you overcome. Your losses do not define you. How you respond to them does. So view your losses differently. Embrace them as opportunities for growth. Learn from them. Let them refine you, shape you, and propel you towards your goals, for it is often in our darkest moments that we find our greatest light, in our deepest failures that we discover our true strength. You have greatness within you. Do not let your fears, your past failures or opinions of others hold you back. You are capable of so much more than you realize. And sometimes it takes a loss to reveal the winner within you. Go forth with courage. Take risks. Push your boundaries. And when you fall, because you will fall, pick yourself up. Dust yourself off. And ask, what can I learn from this? For in that question lies the key to turning every loss into a change towards your ultimate success.